You have 5, you have a quorum, you can open the meeting.
Okay. Let's call the meeting to order. Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Fuller, Mr. DeLomo, Mr. Malta,
Here.
Mr. Manel.
Here.
Mr. Good, Mr. Van Wagner, Mr. Worrell,
Here.
Ms. Beal,
Here.
Mr. Mamie, Mr. Ashkenazi, Chairman Shepica.
Here. I won't ask you to stand, but I'm going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The notice requirements for the Open Public Meeting Law of this meeting have been satisfied. A copy of the notice have been sent to the Asbury Park Press and the Coast.
Access code followed by the pound or sign.
No new cases will be started after 10 p.m. and no new testimony taken after 10:30 p.m. In addition, the applicant will be limited to 45 minutes of testimony. All meetings will be video and audio taped in the Township of Ocean and the Community Cable Channel 22 on Verizon Fios and Channel 77.
Pound or hash sign. If you do not have a PIN, just press pound or hash.
Minutes for approval, July 16th.
This conference will now be recorded.
Minutes for approval, July 16th, 2020. Someone please offer.
I offer.
I need a second. Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
I cannot hear over
All right, we have a problem.
Please mute everyone but Henry. We ask that everyone is muted, is mute themselves that's not speaking. Click each one.
Ron, can we figure out who has a problem?
We all do.
please stop unmuting yourself if I'm muting you.
We want everyone muted except for Henry at this point.
You want me unmuted?
At this moment, yes.
Okay.
We're all clear.
Okay, so Amy, please call the roll on the minutes.
Can you tell me who offered and who seconded?
Jim Morrell offered and Russ Malta second.
Perfect, thank you. Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
That's a yes.
okay. Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
Chairman Shepica.
Yes.
Okay.
Where did Mr. Manel go?
I'm here. I was not present at that meeting, so I
Okay.
don't think I was eligible to vote on it.
Mark, I have a question for you. In the resolutions and memorializations, there are 2 that were dismissed. Do I have to offer those separately?
No, were the votes all the same, Amy, on everything?
Yes,
Yeah. So, I mean, you only offer them as a package if all the people voted the same way. So since they all voted on all 4 or 5 resolutions the same, then she can call the list of those eligible voters for those resolutions singularly, which will apply to all the resolutions.
Okay, so I'm going to offer the resolutions as a whole. First one is Orrin Linder, block 40.03, lot 3, 608 Deal Road, Ocean, dismissed. Yusef Cohen, Block 22, Lot 33, 238 Overbrook Avenue, Oakhurst, dismissed. Susan Yasha, Block 111, Lot 19, 1302 Updike Avenue, Wanamass, bulk variance approved. Kristen Hand, Block 138.07, Lot 5, 902 Interlaken Avenue, Wanamass, bulk variance approved. And Frederick Mutz, Block 11116, Lot 1, 1801 Sunset Avenue, Wanamass, bulk variance approved. Someone please offer.
I'll offer Worrell.
Thank you.
Malta seconds.
Okay. Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta,
Yes.
Mr. Worrell,
Yes.
Mrs. Beal,
Yes.
and Chairman Shephaka.
Yes.
Okay.
Case is carried to September 17th, 2020. Morris Dweck, Block 43, Lot 1 and 2, 300 Park Avenue, Deal Park. 485 South Edgemere Drive, LLC, Block 76, Lot 5, 485 South Edgemere Drive, West Allenhurst. Patricia Strano Burke, Block 1.41, Lot 14, 3408 Sunset Avenue, Ocean. William Larkin, Block 25.07, Lots 12, 190 Belmar Avenue, Oakhurst. 1209 Highway 35 LLC, Block 204, Lot 4, 1209 Highway 35 Ocean. 335 Roosevelt Avenue, Block 19, Lot 3, 335 Roosevelt Avenue, Oakhurst. AEI Holdings, Block 182, Lot 88, 1400 Highway 35 Ocean. Stephanie Russell, Block 22, Lot 61, 332 Elberon Avenue, Oakhurst. And Michael Klein and Patricia Cronum, Block 72, Lot 1, 486 Staffa Street, Ocean. Case is carried to October 15th, 2020. That's bad. Hillel School, Block 34.03, Lots 2, 2.01, 5.01, 5.02, and 6, 1025 Deal Road, Ocean. Seaview Corporate Park, Lot Limited, Block 149.01, Lot 1.01, 2603 Route 66, Ocean. That brings us to our first case, Bahar and Rebecca Salome, Block 22, Lot 44.02, 249 Overbrook Avenue, Oakhurst, Zone R4. This is an application to construct an in-ground pool and patio within a floodplain with variances for maximum impervious coverage and building in a designated 100-year floodplain. Applicant for the attorney, Robert Farmer.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'm coming before you tonight in an odd situation and posture. This is an old application. It's been pending for a while. Mr. Fitzgerald has issued reports. Mr. Higgins issued a report. The issue that we've had was we've been seeking an advisory opinion from New Jersey DEP. That has been what's been putting this matter off and off and off, particularly after the last report that Mr. Fitzgerald authored. We did ultimately in early August, finally, and I say finally because it took 9 or 10 months, got an advisory letter, an opinion followed by a letter from New Jersey DEP. We submitted it timely along with updated expert and flood expert reports, engineering and flood expert reports. The real problem is that Mr. Fitzgerald has not had an opportunity to respond to it. and I discussed this with Mr. Kirk, but I've come to the conclusion that the board, for thoroughness sake, should have your own expert's opinion as to what Mr. Fitzgerald would think pertaining to the New Jersey DEP's findings, my expert's findings, which are from an engineer, from a environmental flood expert consultant, the other engineering drawings from Mr. William Jensen. They've been commented on, but really the relevant documents are the new ones and the new reports. You don't have a comment. So I go before you, spoken with my experts who are ready, and I'm going to ask that we carry this to enable Mr. Fitzgerald to respond, at which point, once Ms. Stewart, I'm sure, furnishes me promptly with whatever report Mr. Fitzgerald authors, I'll have my experts confer with him, and we can then go forth, and you can hear the case with the guidance of the town's expert to lead the way, so to speak. Now,
Okay, so
I
Ms.
promised Mr. Kirk I would say this in under 5 minutes, and I hope I have. But I'm going to
Mr.
ask for a continuance.
Mr. Farber, so the original packet was marked, but now you're saying that you have your experts and we need Mr. Fitzgerald to review the reports, correct?
Yeah, Mr. Fitzgerald has not had opportunity to review the reports. I think they were submitted on August 5th. Hi, William. I see your picture there. But
Okay, gentlemen, I think that what we could do to get this 2-year-old application moving forward would be for Rob Farber's applicant to post escrow fees so that we can conduct technical review meetings with the planner and Mr. Fitzgerald, because it's much more complicated. And after 2 years, we really should come to some reasonable end to this. So if Mr. Farber is amicable, that's the way we would like to move forward.
we're amicable. My client is amicable.
Okay, so when do we carry this to? Mr. Farber, are you ready? Will you be ready by next month?
It's up to Mr. Fitzgerald. He has to review it. There's materials, there's information from the DEP. My feeling is after he reviews it, it may be prudent, it may not be, but perhaps it would be for Mr. Fitzgerald to, for my experts to speak to him or Mr. Higgins if appropriate. I think Mr. Higgins' reports is what it is. I think the big issue is Mr. Fitzgerald's. So, you know, it's up to the experts. You're making, you're muted. What are you saying, Bill?
Unmute yourself for a minute.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can call me Bill, Rob. But having said that, I think what Ron Kirk said is exactly the way we want to go. This is kind of a technical issue, and it's not quite as simplified as the latest expert report you submitted. Having said that, the way to handle this is technical review meetings, where we lay out all the stuff on the table and work through it, as opposed to discussing all these details, especially on a video conference call before the board. Most of the stuff I think can be ironed out at technical review meetings, but there are a number of points of, well, let's just call them discrepancy, and we need to get them resolved. And since they're all technical, let's do technical review meetings till we get them resolved.
So September or October?
I think October,
I think October is the earliest.
Okay. Okay, so Mr. Farber, we're going to carry this case until October 15th, 2020, okay?
Ides of October, I presume without any need to renotice, correct?
Is that correct?
All right, number one, we need Mr. Farber both on the record and eventually in writing to grant the board an extension of time in which to make its decision.
Granted on the board. Amy can email me the documents. I'll sign them and get them back to you.
That's number one. Number two, we don't know if we're going to be virtual or not, I guess, for the 15th.
That's the problem, Mark.
Pardon me? Are we?
Mark, the problem's going to be that we will be live in October. But do you have to renotice for a live meeting in person?
Yeah, I think so. That's what I was That's what I was getting at. I would agree with that. So you're gonna have to renotice.
Well, if I have to renotice, I'll renotice. What's the big deal in the overall scheme of things? It'll be the fourth time, but it's not a problem. But in the event, the meeting, there's, God forbid, another outbreak and the meeting's virtual, I won't have to. And I'll confer, is that correct, Mr. Steinberg, if the meeting remains virtual?
Right now,
So
we can carry it to the meeting of October 15th without notice, provided it's virtual. But if anything changes, and we go back to normalcy, quote unquote, then you'll have to renotice. We'll make that determination closer to.
No, we're
And I will abide either, my client and I will abide either way.
okay. We're scheduled to be October live.
Okay.
Okay, in person. We have to go with that premise. If anything changes, then we adjust accordingly.
What I'll do is I'll just wait till late September, early October to notice. By then, we'll have an idea whether we'll be able to proceed live or not.
Perfect.
Is there
That's fine.
anything
As long
else,
as we have
Mr. Steinberg?
As long as that extension is on the record, which we appreciate, and you'll sign the form when Amy sends it tomorrow. Thank you.
Everybody have a nice evening. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you.
Take care.
Please note that Mr. Mamie has joined us. Thank you. That brings us to case number 2, Robert and Joan Ayuda, block 37.11, lot 17, 15 Arbor Way, Ocean, Zone 3. This is an application to enclose an existing front porch with an overhang and construct a new uncovered porch and steps. Robert and Joan, are you here?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we're here. Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Who's going to testify?
Robert?
Robert, please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address in the court.
Robert Peruta, 15 Arbor Way, Ocean Township, New Jersey, 07712.
Thank you. Amy, please mark the packet.
Okay.
Marked?
Yes.
It's marked. Good.
He is.
Mr. Higgins, do you have a report?
Yes,
What do you
there's
ask?
a report from him. Yeah.
Please unmute yourself, Mr. Higgins. Unmute. Mr. Higgins.
Okay, there we go. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, the report stated July 29th. The applicant's requesting approval to enclose an existing open front porch and to extend a front porch and steps and to maintain an existing shed. The site is a 100-foot wide, 115-foot deep, 11,500 square foot lot with a one-story single-family residence. The lot is substantially non-conforming with regard to lot area, lot width, and lot depth. As a result of the shallow lot depth, the existing front yard setback is non-conforming. The vast majority of other lots in the area are similar in size and building setback. Variances, you have front yard setback. The ordinance requires a front yard setback of 45 feet. The existing house is set back 35 feet, and the existing open porch is set back 28.9 feet. The roof of the proposed enclosed porch, which extends 2 feet 6 inches beyond the front wall of the proposed porch, is set back 26.3 feet. The building setback is consistent with those of most other residences in the neighborhood. There are numerous similar porches in the immediate neighborhood, so that the proposed porch is not inconsistent with the character of the neighborhood. Maximum building coverage. The ordinance permits a maximum building coverage of 25% of buildable lot area. The existing building coverage is 27%, and the application increases the coverage by 70.5 feet to 27.84%. Note, the plan indicates that the proposed building coverage is 27.6%. This is an error due to the fact that the plan does not take into account the 21 plus square feet of the overhang of the front porch. In my opinion, the proposed enclosed porch and overhang improve the appearance and the function of the site. I do not believe that it's possible to notice the nonconformity with the naked eye. Since the porch and the overhang are consistent with the character of the neighborhood and absent any engineering concerns, I have no problems with the granting of this variance. Accessory building side setback. The ordinance requires a minimum 5-foot side yard setback for an accessory building less than 10 feet in height and less than 150 square feet in area. The existing shed in the rear yard is less than 10 feet high and less than 150 square feet in area. The shed is set back approximately 1 foot. The applicant has indicated that the shed was in this location when they purchased the house, and relocating it to a forming location will damage the old shed. Since the shed has been there for years, I have no significant concerns as long as the board conditions the approval upon any replacement shed being in a conforming location. Should the board choose to approve the application, I recommend it be conditioned upon materials and colors being consistent with or complementary to the materials and colors of the existing residence.
Thank you. Mr. Fitzgerald, do you have a report?
And Mr. Chairman, I have a report dated August 14th. I have no engineering concern with the matter.
Okay. Mr. Payuta, please tell us what you're doing in your own words.
We're creating like a vestibule so that when you come in the front door, see the way it is now, you come in the front door, you walk right into my living room. In the winter, that's a hardship because we lose all our heat and we have no place to hang our coats. We have to walk through the house to get to the closet. So we want to add that so we don't have to do that and we don't want to lose the heat. And it would look nice.
Would there be a safety issue attached to that so that people don't slip and fall in the snow and things?
Yeah, absolutely. Because the steps will be covered a little more. And that would eliminate the hazard, I believe.
Okay. Will the addition match the house in terms of roof and siding and?
Oh, yes. I wouldn't do anything that wouldn't look nice and improve the appearance of the house.
Okay. Questions from the board? Somebody nod.
I have no question.
Russ, Wanda, Eric, any questions? Anybody here from the public to be heard? Okay, motion to close the public hearing.
I move to close the public hearing.
I think Russ offered that and Mr. Worrell second. Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Malta?
Yes.
Mr. Manel? Mr. Worrell?
Manel.
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Chairman Shephaka?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Mr. Mamie?
Yes.
Is Mr. Van Wagner on?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. Okay. Action on this?
I move for a positive resolution, subject to the condition that if the shed is to be replaced, it go to a conforming location and that the addition be consistent with existing structure.
I need
I'll
a
second.
That's
second.
okay. Amy, please call the roll.
All right, but just one second. What we usually do, so we're all on board, is that we do require a deed restriction to be filed indicating that if the shed is destroyed, moved, or replaced, it has to be in a conforming location so that future purchasers of the property will be aware of that. So that would sort of enhance the condition.
Okay. Well, how do you do that? I really didn't hear you understand it.
Okay. You'll have to have a deed, you'll have to get a deed notice published in the Monmouth County Clerk's Office indicating that the condition concerning the shed that's going to be in the resolution is published, not published, but recorded in the Monmouth County Clerk's Office, so that if you sell the house next year, the new people will know that they cannot put the shed in the same location if they decide to take that one down and put a new one up.
Oh, okay.
But you'll have to get someone to, I don't know if you need a lawyer or whatnot, but you will need to have a deed restriction drafted, signed, notarized, and recorded in the Monmouth County Clerk's Office.
Okay, deed restriction, write that down.
Deed
It'll
restriction.
be in the resolution,
Okay.
and we've had others, so if you want to do this yourself, Amy could possibly give you a copy of someone else's that's been filed.
That'd be perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, back to, did we vote? We didn't vote on this.
No.
Russ made a motion. Mr. Worrell, second. Amy, please call the roll.
Mr. Morse? No.
I'm having trouble hearing the roll call.
Mr. Malta?
Yes.
Mr. Manel? Mr. Worrell?
Yes.
Mrs. Beal?
Yes.
Mr. Mamie?
Yes.
Chairman Shepherd?
Yes. Thank you. Next case is case number 3. Adam Cohen, block 9.02, lot 11, 250 Alpern Avenue, Oakhurst, zone R4. This is an application to keep an in-ground pool with retaining wall and pool patio that was constructed within the required side and rear yard setbacks, as well as converting a non-conforming garage into a cabana. Mr. Cohen, are you here?
Yes.
Will you be testifying? Mr. Van Wagner, can you please mute yourself? There we go. Mr. Cohen, will you be testifying?
Yes, and I also have a planner, Nicholas Gravino, at the meeting as well.
Okay. Will he be testifying also?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Cohen, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I affirm.
Please state your name, address.
Adam Cohen, 250 Alpern Avenue, Elbron, New Jersey, 07740, and also 957 East 7th Street, Brooklyn, New York, 11230.
Okay. Mr. Galvano, have you testified before this board before?
No, I have not.
Please tell us about your credentials.
Yes, my name is Nicholas with an H, Graviano, G-R-A, V as in Victor, I-A-N-O. I'm a partner and planner with Graviano and Gillis Architects and Planners with a business address of 101 Crawford's Corner Road in Homedale, New Jersey. I hold a bachelor's degree in geography with a minor in urban studies from Rutgers University, a master's degree in city and regional planning from Rutgers University, and a law degree from the Temple University School of Law, where I received a distinguished class performance in state and local government law. I'm a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey. I hold the AICP certification, and I testified before numerous boards and governing bodies in 16 different counties in the state of New Jersey, including numerous municipalities in Monmouth County.
I guess that's good enough. Mark, we're good? Mark's good. Okay, so, Amy,
Yes.
please mark the packet.
That is fine.
Okay.
Mr. Higgins, do you have a report?
Yes, dated July 31st, the applicant is requesting approval to maintain side and rear yard setbacks of an existing retaining wall, allow the expansion of an existing pool surround, and allow the modification of a pre-existing non-conforming garage, and to maintain the existing non-conforming setbacks and height of the garage. The site is a 100-foot wide, 125-foot deep, 11,250 square foot lot with single-family residence, a detached garage, and an existing pool. The application involves a partial conversion of an existing detached garage to be partially used as a cabana. The ordinance states that non-conforming structures shall not be enlarged, altered, or rebuilt except to be more into conformity. Since the partial conversion of the garage to a cabana is an alteration of the structure, the variances are technically necessary for side and rear yard setbacks of the building height. In addition, the existing retaining wall is non-conforming with regard to side and rear yard setbacks for an accessory structure, and the proposed expansion of the pool surround to meet the retaining wall will require a side yard accessory structure setback variance. Accessory structure height. The ordinance limits the height of an accessory structure to 15 feet. The existing garage is 16 feet, 7.7 feet in height. While the existing garage is legally non-conforming with regard to building height, the alteration of the garage creates a need for a variance to be granted for building height. I have no significant concern with this variance, which is technical in nature since the garage is not being expanded. Next to minimum garage side and rear yard setback, the ordinance requires that an accessory structure is larger than 150 square feet and 10 feet in height maintain the required side and rear yard setbacks of the principal structure. The existing structure, is greater than 150 square feet and greater than 10 feet in height, so it must maintain the side and rear yard setbacks of a principal structure. The required side yard setback is 10 feet and the existing garage is setback 3.5 feet. The required rear yard setback is 30 feet and the existing rear yard setback is 8.3 feet. Similar to the above, the garage as it exists is legally non-conforming. The only reason variances are necessary is because the structure is being altered. The board may want to consider as a condition of approval requiring the garage cabana to be replaced with a conforming structure if it is destroyed. Then you have accessory structure side and rear yard setbacks. The ordinance requires a minimum 10-foot side and rear yard setback for accessory structures less than 3 feet in height. The existing retaining wall is set back 6.1 feet in the rear yard and 5.6 feet in the side yard. The expansion of the pool surround is set back 6.6 feet in the side yard. Note, because pools can be 10 feet from a side property line, it is preferable to have a minimum 3-foot wide pool surround on all sides of the pool for safety purposes. It has been interpreted that the pool surround is permitted to be set back 7 feet in such instances. I don't have a significant concern with the granting of these variances since the pool surround is 1 to 2 feet below the top of the retaining wall. Neither it nor the retaining wall are visible from the surrounding property, so that there is minimal visual impact. It should be noted that the modification of the garage includes a kitchen, a bath with a shower, and a loft area, the use of which is not specified, but that has a permanent steps built into it. Any resolution of approval should be conditioned upon a deed restriction that there be no sleeping quarters in the garage cabana so that the structure does not have the potential to become a second residential structure on the site. That's the end of the report.
Mr. Fitzgerald, do you have a report?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do have a report dated August 13th. I'll see if I can summarize it rather than read it. My main concern, I have no concern with the pool surround, no concern with the retaining wall, and no concern with the concept of utilizing the garage for something other than a garage. I lived in a neighborhood 10 years. I had one of those garages. Having said that, there's a whole lot of them all right close to the property lines. And I was just concerned about the level of activity with the commensurate with the level of improvements proposed for the garage. So I suggested that the applicant bring in a planner to justify or discuss the uniqueness of this property and the reasons under the land use law that it could be granted, because there are probably more than 30 of these garages in that neighborhood. With that, that's all I have to say. Case needs to be made, that's all.
Okay. Thank you very much. Mr. Cohen, would you like to go first, or would you like your planner to go first?
Well, I believe since Mr. Fitzgerald had requested that the planner explain why to allow the cabana, I let him go first since that was a concern.
Okay. Mr. Galvano, could you raise your right hand? Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Okay, could you state your name once more?
Yes, Nicholas with an H, Graviano, G-R-A-V as in Victor, I-A-N-O.
Thank you. Okay,
Yes, so Mr. Higgins did a wonderful job of explaining what's the applicant is requesting in this application. This is an application for a specific piece of property, otherwise known as Block 9.02, Lot 11, 250 Alpern Avenue within the township. As indicated, it is a lot 100 by 125, 12,500 square feet in size. This house was constructed in 1924. I had a chance to go into the garage and look at that. That garage is of that era itself. So the applicant is requesting C variance approval to maintain the side and rear yard setbacks of the existing retaining wall, to allow for the expansion of the existing pool surround, and to allow for the modification of the pre-existing non-conforming garage height and setbacks to the partial cabana in the existing two-car garage. Now, if the board would like, I could display these plans on the screen if it deems it to be necessary. I leave that to the board's discretion. Would the board like to see the plans now?
I think we all have a packet that we received, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, I don't, does any board member want to see that?
Okay, great. So,
Well, wait a minute, Mr. Does anyone from the public want to see that? Okay, I guess not.
okay, so I would just like to highlight a couple of things about the proposed cabana. This is an existing two-car garage with a loft. The loft exists. The applicant is not proposing the loft as part of this application. Essentially, what the applicant is seeking to do is to utilize half of the two-car garage for the cabana space, half of which would contain a bathroom, and the other half would contain a small kitchenette with a refrigerator and a sink, a place where people using the pool can grab drinks, somewhere where someone could get changed, and somewhere where someone could clean up before and after using the pool. Essentially, why the applicant would like the cabana is to avoid everybody from having to go in and out of the house with wet clothes to either get a drink or go to the bathroom or get changed. So the applicant had this existing accessory structure on site, thought it was best to utilize it in this fashion as to not necessitate the building of a second structure on site. So it's really an exceptional utilization of an existing footprint and an existing structure. With respect to the loft of the garage, once you get up there, it's very low in height. It's tough to navigate once you're there. So that space will strictly be used by the applicant for storage. In reading your professionals' review letters, there was discussions regarding deed restriction of the space to prohibit the ability for it to be used as sleeping quarters. The applicant has no issue whatsoever in providing that deed restriction. In Mr. Fitzgerald's letter, there was discussion regarding limiting heating, cooling, and insulation. The applicant really has no heat requirements for the building. It's not going to be utilized in wintertime. However, the applicant would like the ability to provide insulation and air conditioning, as this is a place where people will be getting showered and getting changed before and after use of the pool. Additionally, in that any applicable building codes may require the provision of heat insulation or that thing, the applicant would like the ability to do so to meet any applicable building code requirements. When analyzing the location of this cabana with the surrounding neighborhood, the applicant's property is really at four corners of all the properties. The property right behind him also has a detached garage very close to the property line. So this is really a garage that's located in the rear yard of all the dwellings that are around the applicant's dwelling. So use of this garage for a cabana, I really do not see any substantial detriment to the surrounding neighbors or the surrounding community. It is something that will not get high use. Pools are used, but they're not used that often. So the people utilizing the cabana are going to do so in a very limited fashion. Moving on to the analysis of the variances that are required. There are the existing conditions variances for the accessory structure height. 15 feet is required where 16.7 feet are existing and proposed. Additionally, there's the minimum garage side and rear yard setback. The required side setback is 10 feet and the existing is 3.5. The required rear setback is 30 feet and the existing is 8.3. As I stated, these are existing conditions not augmented by the application. This is clearly what is C1 scenario by reason of an extraordinary and exceptional situation, uniquely affecting a specific piece of property. Strict application of the township zoning regulations would result in exceptional and peculiar difficulties and undue hardship upon the developer of the property. Moving on to the variances related to the pool surround and the retaining wall, they could be granted under the C2 criteria where in an application or appeal relating to a specific piece of property, the purposes of the MLUL would be advanced from the deviation from the zoning ordinance requirements. And when we look at the purposes of zoning that this application advances, its purpose A, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use of lands in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. Additionally, it helps provide sufficient space and appropriate location for a variety of recreational uses in order to meet the needs of New Jersey citizens. And then lastly, the reuse of an existing and older accessory structure on the site helps promote a desirable visual environment through creative development techniques and good civic design and arrangement. I feel that the granting of these variances can be done without substantial impairment of the zone plan and zoning ordinance, as the garage has existed on this location probably since 1924. And as indicated in Mr. Higgins' letter and Mr. Higgins' intro tonight, the setback variances for the pool surround and the retaining wall are minimal, and given the site conditions that it's fully fenced, and none of these items are actually visible from the neighboring properties or the public.
Thank you, Mr. Graviano.
Okay.
Thank you.
Mr. Cohen, do you have anything to add to this?
No, other than to say that in regards to the pool decking area, it just there's a little bit of a safety issue with the way it is right now, and part of it, what do you call it, was an error of the pool company that built the pool by putting the pool 1.5 feet from where it needed to be, which is part of the reason why I need to go for the variance.
Okay. And you do understand about the deed restriction?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Chairman Shephaka, can I interject for a second here, please?
Absolutely.
Okay. They're asking for air conditioning, which is not located on the plans that we have in the office, number one. Number two is there's a kitchen in here. By having a kitchen and a bathroom, it would constitute a garage apartment. So that would be an entirely different conversation. And number three is, where would the air conditioning condenser be placed near this already existing non-conforming structure?
So in regards to the kitchen, it's not a full
Mr. Cohen, I'll
functioning.
handle that question. Mr. Cohen, I'll handle that question. The applicant by no means intends to utilize this as a living quarters or an apartment or anything of that nature. If the board requires elements of the kitchen to be pared down, for any applicable requirements, the applicant would be willing to do so. Really, the main items that the applicant would like to see in there is the refrigerator to store drinks. So I
I'm
definitely feel that.
asking
Hey,
specific
I'm Mark.
to the air
Hey, Mark.
conditioning.
I'm sorry,
I'm
Mark,
asking
it's,
specific to the air conditioning. It's not located on any of the plans, nor is a condenser, and it would have required another variance had you come to us with this. Asking
Well,
for
the
the air
applicant will agree to make any condensers in a conforming location.
hey, Henry, it's Rich von Wagner. Can you hear me?
I can. Just wait one second, Rich.
Okay, sorry, my phone's.
Wait 1 second. Mr. Kirk, where are we at with the condenser and the air conditioner first?
Well, you're now asking, our ordinances say that you cannot have air conditioning and heat in the accessory in the way it is placed now. Now you're looking at something entirely different. So I'd say the applicant really has to list all of the variances that they're looking for. There's no condenser located on the plans. I don't know that there's a conforming location for them to use.
Okay.
Well, the applicant could also achieve air conditioning through a wall unit.
But by putting air conditioning into this, it turns it into a garage apartment by ordinance.
Whether it's a wall unit or centrally located, correct?
It's air conditioning.
Right, air conditioning. Okay, so that's a variance that you're saying that is not listed?
Correct.
Okay, so that's one thing. The second thing is
Well, Ron, would it now become a use variance because now it's a second residence on a single family lot?
I would defer to Jim Higgins. I believe the answer is
I would say, yeah, if it's a garage apartment, then it would be a use variance.
Okay.
It would be technical in nature, but it would still be a use variance.
Not so technical, like it's a second residence possibly. Okay.
Okay, hearing the board's concern on this matter, I would like just 1 minute to have a discussion with my client regarding this to see what path he would like to take to proceed. Could the applicant have 2 minutes for this discussion?
certainly.
I would certainly say yes.
Okay, Mr. Cohen, I'll give you a call right now. Please mute yourself.
Okay, so Mr. Kirk, it's not only air conditioning, it's also kitchen, correct?
Well, it's made it into a garage apartment. I would defer to Jim Higgins on this, but I believe once you add the air conditioning or heat, am I correct, Jim?
I'm not aware of that in the ordinance, but I'm not saying it's not there either.
Okay.
I'm not prepared to answer that one way or the other at this point.
Even if it is or is not, the other problem is shown on the plans.
Yeah, it's
I mean,
not shown on the plan.
There's no air conditioning here, whether a condenser or window unit. And for someone who represents, they only wanted a place to take a shower and use the facilities,
Mr. Van Wagner also had a question, and I'm not sure, he seems to be paused. Rich, are you there?
Sorry, I know what's going on with the phone. I'm sorry. No, I'm good. I was going to ask a question about whether this was, a garage apartment, and then also, I thought Mr. Kirk was asking some questions of fact, and I just, I know his attorney was answering them, but I just wanted to know if we're going to hear other answers, but I think you guys have figured it out since, so sorry about that.
Okay, stay with us, Mr. Van Wagner.
All right.
Mr. Graviano.
Yes, I had a chance to discuss this issue with my client. The applicant has no issue whatsoever in not providing air conditioning to the building. The main purpose of this cabana is the bathroom to prevent the need to have people coming in and out of the house with wet clothing and wet feet and destroying his beautiful wood floors. So the applicant has no problem with not providing air conditioning in the building.
Okay. Mr. Kirk, does that satisfy what we have to?
With regard to that one issue, yes, the rest is up to the board for a decision.
Okay. Is there how about the kitchen facility? Can you please go over that again?
Yeah, the applicant was just proposing a sink and refrigerator in the cabana. There were no cooking facilities in the cabana.
Okay. Mr. Kirk?
I'm just pulling out Mr. Feldman's plans here.
Okay.
I have a question, Henry.
Yes.
The utilities that you plan on running to the cabana, such as electric, hot water for the shower. Obviously, if you take a shower, you're gonna have a hot water heater because you want hot and cold water. Are you putting separate meters in for this, separate utilities, or are you pulling off the house?
The intention was to pull off the house. The garage already has electricity and it runs off the house's meter.
Okay. So you were thinking of a small electric hot water heater for the shower?
Exactly.
Okay. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you.
Chairman Shephika, we have a
Yes.
dishwasher, a sink, a refrigerator, a freezer, and a stackable washer dryer, in addition to a bath, sink, and shower.
The washer and dryer is, the purpose of that is to clean the pool towels for the people, since that's going to be the location where the towels are going to be. Again, there's no oven or stove in there for cooking.
The applicant certainly willing to address any of the board's concerns regarding the program in the cabana.
Again, what's in the cabana? There's a washer and a dryer.
There'll be a washer and dryer strictly for pool towels. There's
a washer, a dryer, okay, a hot water heater, shower, toilet, sink, refrigerator, standing freezer, dishwasher, and sink.
So we need a full-size refrigerator and a full-size freezer?
It doesn't have to be a full size. It could be a back-to-back. It could be a top and bottom. It was just what my architect had designed for the space. There's no need to have a full-size fridge and freezer. Again, it's just being the fact that the location is next to the pool, so people don't have to go inside to the pool if they want to get a snack or ice cream. I have young children. We figured that the best place to keep the food would be in the cabana, which is the purpose of the cabana. There's no other reason for the fridge and freezer other than for snacks for people that are in the pool area, not having to go inside to the house if they were hungry, or if they wanted a drink, or if they wanted to get some ice cream.
I'm going to defer to my professionals on this. What do you guys think?
I'm questioning the
Like I said, I lived there for 10 years. Go ahead, Ron.
No, I mean, it's much closer to a garage apartment than it is a cabana from the plans that we have here. I mean, a dishwasher, I don't necessarily believe is accessory to a cabana use.
I have no problem removing the dishwasher. Again, it's just, we have outdoor seating for the cabana area, where by the pool I have a dining room table where I have lunch there with my family. So we figured the dishwasher, we could just keep all the dishes for the pool area there. I have no problem removing that and just doing the dishes for that area inside the house. That's not, if that alleviate your concern, I have no problem removing the dishwasher.
Okay.
Jim and Bill, do you think that we have updated plans provided and move forward to the next meeting with these
I was
changes?
thinking maybe a technical review meeting to go through this
It
stuff
might
so
be
we don't
good
go
for us
item by
to
item in
sit
front of the
down
board.
with the applicant's architect and the applicant and just go over it to make sure that it's something that everybody can be comfortable with.
Okay.
And the planner also.
I think that would be better. We're at the end of the season now. I mean, it's not, Mr. Cohen, you're not planning on doing this right now, correct?
Truthfully, I'm not planning on doing this for a few years. I was going for the variance due to the mistake of the pool company. So I was advised by the township if I ever wanted to use the garage as a cabana, I would need a variance. So I decided to add it to the variance application now that I need it for the pool, since I was already requesting a variance from the township.
So why don't
Can I add something? Can I add something, please, Chairman?
Yes.
I do understand there are concerns by the board with the cabana. The applicant certainly is willing to modify the cabana to get something that's more suitable to the board's liking. However, the applicant does have reasons for requesting the variances for the pool surround and the retaining wall. He does have a CO that is being held up by that. So that you could potentially grant the variances for the pool surround and the retaining wall, and the applicant will come back for the cabana. That would be of great benefit to the applicant in this situation.
Mr. Graviano, once again, I'm going to defer to Mr. Steinberg on this. And to tell you the truth, I think there's some there isn't a comfort zone with my professionals about certain things without a meeting. So I'm going to let Mr. Steinberg go at this and see what he thinks about it before I go to the board for questions.
Well, if you withdraw, are you withdrawing or bifurcating the application? What are we doing here? And Ron, do we have a provision to bifurcate an application like this?
I always defer to the attorney, so I'll ask you.
Yeah.
I guess the answer is no, we can't bifurcate it. We could, if you want to withdraw the whole cabana, which seems to be a little odd.
Okay.
I don't see where the applicant is suffering anything if we just carry the whole thing.
Right. I mean,
It's operating now under those circumstances.
Okay,
So,
that's
the surround
board's preference. That's certainly not an
and
issue.
the wall exists, do they not? The surround and the wall presently exist. No one's citing the applicant for a zoning violation, so.
So why don't we carry it for a month and have a technical meeting and get this straightened out, and then we vote on it.
There we go.
Sounds good.
There you go.
Okay, everybody. Does anyone from the board have any questions?
Nope.
Anyone from the public here that has any questions about this? All right, so we're going to carry this to September 17th, 2020. We don't need further notice, correct, Mark?
That's correct. It's going to be another virtual meeting. We can carry it on the record. I do need the applicant to extend the time in which the board has to act pursuant to the municipal land use law. So is that okay, Mr. Cohen? You're going to extend the time?
Yeah, yes.
Yes. Okay, so.
Okay, and Amy will send you a form to sign to confirm that in writing, but we have you on the record. And we can carry it without further notice.
And I would suggest that you get with Mr. Kirk, Mr. Higgins, and Mr. Fitzgerald so that we can straighten this out by next month, okay?
Okay, that's what I was going to ask. How would you like me to address your concern? So I will give a call to the three individuals, Mr. Fitzgerald, Mr. Kirk, and Mr. Higgins, to see how they would like me to address those concerns.
I would follow up with Amy first, please.
Yeah. Go to Amy Stewart and she will set up
She'll
the
take
meeting.
care of it.
You don't have to be calling 3 or 4 people, just call her.
Oh, whatever works best.
Okay.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank
Case
you.
is carried to September, I said it already,
17.
17th, 2020. Thank you.
17th.
17th.
Thank you.
That takes us to, yes,
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.
thank you, thank you. That brings us to case number 4, Timothy Beers. I hope I pronounced that right. Block 138.02, lot 31, 1129 Brower Boulevard, Ocean, Zone R5. This is an application to install a 6-foot solid pool code fence within the required front yard setback on Logan Road. Mr. Beers, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Will you be testifying?
Yes, I will.
Please raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Tim Beers, and it's 1129 Brower Boulevard. That's Ocean, New Jersey, 07712.
Amy, please mark the packet.
Okay.
Mr. Higgins, please give us your report.
Surely, it's dated May 15th. The applicant is proposing to remove portions of an existing chain link fence and replace it with a 6-foot high wooden fence, portions of which would be located along the Logan Road street line and within the required front yard setback along Logan Road. The site is a conforming corner lot with frontages on Brower Boulevard and Logan Road. The residence faces Brower Boulevard. An existing above-ground pool is located in the northeast corner of the lot, approximately 100 feet from Logan Road. Variances are required for fence in a front yard. The maximum permitted height of any fence in a required front yard is 4 feet, and the maximum permitted height of a solid fence within a required front yard is 3 feet. The R5 zone requires a 30-foot front yard setback. The ordinance requires that the required front yard setback be maintained on both street frontages of a corner lot. A solid wood fence, 6 foot high, is proposed through the total length of 110 feet within the Logan Road front yard, 55 feet along the Logan Road front lot line, 25 feet from that fence to the residence, and 30 feet along the northern rear lot line. Location of an accessory structure. The ordinance prohibits the location of any accessory structure in a required front yard. The plan shows a koi pond within the Logan Road front yard. With regard to the height and setback of the fence, it should be noted that there is a low retaining wall less than 1 foot high along Logan Road frontage of the site, so that the height of the fence will be the combined height of the fence and the wall. The board's policy in the past has been to grant some relief on corner lots. Generally, this has been to allow 5 foot high fences with a minimum 15-foot setbacks and significant vegetative screening. In this instance, there are 2 mature holly trees not shown on the plan located along the Logan Road frontage, approximately 8 feet and 15 feet back from the front property line. These trees were recently, within the past 6 years, trimmed up to an approximate height of 7 feet, so that it will be possible to construct a 5 foot high fence under their canopies without damaging the trees. It should be noted that there are no 6 foot high fences along the front property line on any property fronting on Logan Road. One property that fronts on Logan Road, a significant distance to the north of this site, has a 5 foot or 6 foot high white vinyl fence, approximately 5 feet from the front property line and heavily screened with vegetation. No details have been provided for the fence, so it is not possible to determine its aesthetic impact. If the board is inclined to approve the fence, I recommend that a board-on-board fence with beveled corners on the top. With regard to the koi pond, it is not visible from the street, and I see no problem with allowing it to remain. And that's the end of the report.
Mr. Fitzgerald, do you have any report?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I have a report dated August 13th. I'll summarize. I have no problem with what the applicant wants to do. I do have a problem with the setback, as I have for almost every application like this for a long time. I would recommend a minimum setback of 15 feet, and I requested that they be required to put in a mixed evergreen plantings, about 22 plants along the fence, different heights, different styles, just to soften the face of the fence. I'm sorry, did I use, wait, time out. I want to get the number right. The fence gets set back 15 feet, which is about 22 feet from the curb line. Oh, I wanted 16, I'm sorry, 16 plantings. Wanted to check that. I do that so that the applicant doesn't have to guess at what's going to be required when he resubmits a plan with the plantings on it.
Okay. Mr. Beers, tell us what you're doing.
I am replacing I have a pool code chain link fence that was installed, I think 2001. The previous owner had it installed. And I want to replace that. It's showing its signs of wear. It doesn't look that great. And I'd like to put up a 6-foot privacy fence on that Logan Road side, especially. Obviously, that's a busy road, especially in the summer. I definitely, obviously, I need a fence along there. I can't do just plantings because I have the pool. I also have a small child, so I need the fence around the property. Obviously, keep people out of the backyard, and that is my backyard. Obviously, it's considered a front yard setback, but for us, it's our backyard with the pool and you know, swing set and all that good stuff back in the backyard. I did submit, and I don't know if anybody's seen it, some supplemental information. I did some measurements. There's a light pole, the koi pond was mentioned. So I had requested in my cover letter of a 12-foot. It allows me to sort of thread the needle between a light pole, and it leaves a mature holly tree and a sort of juvenile maple tree, which would be in front of the proposed fence. So that's the only sort of comment that I had in terms of the, you know, the 2 letter responses that I saw was 12 feet gives me enough room to walk around the koi pond, but also obviously kind of meet or come close to the requested 15 feet. I also can obviously satisfy that idea. I understand the goal with the planting, so that's not just a stark wood fence along Logan Road.
So are you telling the board and the professionals that you are willing to do the plantings on the outside?
Correct. I wasn't sure about the 16. I didn't know if I could potentially, you know, reduce that number just in cost savings. But absolutely, I would put plantings in front of the proposed fence.
Okay. Well, Mr. Fitzgerald suggested, Bill, what did you suggest again? 16?
I said 16 because I looked at the length of the fence as best I could scale it from that plan, which was not really, every plan is scale accurate, but there was no indication what the scale was. And
okay. And what about the
the scale
setback?
shown on the plan was not correct. But 16 seemed to be the number.
And what about the setback?
They don't all have to be 6-foot evergreen. What's that?
And what about the setback?
I think the
stick with
setback
15 because
is by the
it's been a long time.
Oh, wait, what?
The setback may be dictated by the existing holly trees that are there. And any other existing structures. It may be that 12 feet is better than 15 feet, but without looking at it and seeing it on a plan and stuff, I really can't tell.
Okay. Mr. Fitzgerald.
I mean, also a fence does not have to be straight. A fence can box in 3 feet or 4 feet, have little cutouts, work around trees, work around plants. I mean, you can do a lot of things with fencing to make it attractive.
Yeah.
Okay. Questions from the board? No questions? So before I ask the public, there seems to be a plant for Mr. Beard's plantings. I would suggest that we go with what our professionals say at about 16 plantings. I don't know what you can do about the setback at 12 feet. I don't know if anybody has a problem with that. but you heard our professionals. Is there any insight you can give us on that?
Yeah, I mean, I took a picture looking down the side of my property. And again, the edge of the koi pond is exactly 16. And I have a light pole. Again, I can jog around things. Ideally, I'd like a straight shot on an angle. It doesn't have to be straight in parallel to Logan Road. But the 12 foot, I mean, I could probably push it to 13 is sort of the sweet spot where I can, like I said, thread the needle, leaving a mature holly tree on the Logan side of the fence and leaving my light pole on my inside of the fence.
So, I mean, another foot, Mr. Fitzgerald and Mr. Higgins, what do you think? Can you go at 13 feet? Can we compromise? What do you think?
If
Whatever the board wants, I'm okay.
Or right, I'm not questioning whether the applicant is telling the truth or not. I'm questioning whether or not there's an accurate survey as to where the tree and the light pole are actually located with regard to the property line. So it may very well be that what the applicant is saying is correct, and maybe it's better to have a straight shot, or might be better to have it work around. And without looking at it closer, I just don't know. I don't think I can advise you.
Okay. Mr. Fitzgerald?
Oh, I mean, this is not Mr. Beer's fault. This is one of the, we don't really require for these types of applications accurate drawings. It's not his fault that the survey has been around a while and doesn't depict a couple of trees that Jim pointed out or the exact location of the koi pond. But the bottom line is that Jim said, without having something in front of you that's accurate, you know, I went by the site obviously, but I don't have a perfect recollection of everything was out there and the dimensions. I'm not sure what to say. I mean, if the board doesn't mind 13 feet, you know, I just don't recommend it usually or ever.
Board members, what are we thinking? Does anybody have anything to say? Give me your opinion.
So I think since there's some uncertainty, I would feel more comfortable if we had some kind of accurate measurement. I don't necessarily want to put the applicant to the expense of a whole brand new survey, but I'm not sure if there's an intermediate way of getting a more accurate measurement. Maybe somebody can opine on that.
Well, Logan Road, I believe, has a 50-foot right-of-way, and let me just work this backwards. I had it in my head, but I want to think that it's got a 33-foot pavement width. So bear with me 1 second. And I thought I had roughed out, it might be 36-foot pavement, but I had roughed out that usually the property line is 10 feet behind the curb line, but in that location, I believe I had roughed it out to be 7 feet. So that was where I came up with, if he had a 15-foot setback, he would be 22 feet off the curb line. So if we assume that's correct, if he took measurements off the curb line to the koi pond, to the trees, to whatever's got to stay or wants to stay, or is beneficial to stay, and at least, you know, it's not an expensive survey, but at least to put something on paper that's half accurate.
Okay.
Henry, it's Rich Van Wagner. You asked my opinion. I'm going to defer to Bill Fitzgerald. So that's where I'm heading.
Ms. Beal, any opinion?
Just a question, approximately how accurate is it? If I'm looking at, I think
Is what?
this
I'm sorry.
I'm looking sideways, the survey, if I'm looking at it, page 2, correct? So like, what percentage of it is accurate if you had to give it a number?
I couldn't get into that. First of all, I somehow either shuffled it or misplaced it, but I don't have it right in front of me, but I just knew I couldn't scale it. It's probably accurate, but it wasn't. When you reproduce things, you lose the scale, and so there's dimensions on there, but when you lay an engineer scale on them, I could not get any of the scales to equal the number that's written there. So, you know, you have to sit there and just what he's missing is his trees and the koi pond. The koi pond apparently happened, and we're willing to look at that and grant a variance for it rather than have him move it, but that was a variance situation also, and the trees aren't typically shown on the survey, because surveyors just don't normally do that unless you're going for an application such as this, or a site plan that requires the trees to be shown. So there's nothing inaccurate about a survey, but it's not, you can't scale it, and we don't know where the features are that he wants to try to preserve, or that we think are worth preserving.
That's that was why I submitted picture. Like I said, I took photographs of my property from different angles and then marked the photographs with lines and the actual measurements. I measured off of where my current fence is now, not off of the curb line. So I don't know if that helps at all, taking measurements off the curb.
Well, the measurements off the curb give you a good indication, because you can measure from the curb to the house and check that against the setback shown on your survey, and then you know what the real distance between the curb line and the property line is. So
Okay, so I'm feeling some discomfort here of measurements.
well, it's just not, I mean, everyone's got good questions, but it's not easy to answer them without more detailed information, I guess so.
So,
And is it a hardship to just produce a more accurate survey?
no.
Well, it's a cost.
So, I mean, for me, the survey, I mean, I would be willing to, go along with some actual measurements taken from the curb line, as Bill suggests. But I think the applicant doesn't exactly have that right tonight. So I'd like to know, because even though that might not be the exact distance from the property line, it'll give us a pretty close, I think, if I understand Bill correctly, it'll give us a pretty close idea. And as Bill pointed out, we don't know exactly where the trees are located in regard to the curb or the property line. So I don't necessarily want to force the applicant to purchase a whole survey, which can be expensive, but I think we at least need some good faith measurements there to the various, as Bill said, the important items or structures that he wants to work his fence around.
Hey, Bill, is there something that you could walk with them, or is that not something we do?
I can do that. I'll do whatever the board wants. I mean,
I just want you to be, I trust what you're saying here, so I want you to, I mean, wouldn't that work for everybody?
Yeah, that would work.
I don't have a problem meeting the applicant at his property and bringing a tape and making some measurements, fine.
Seems like it works.
So, so you want to carry this until we make these measurements?
Well, Henry, just one other thing. It seems like there might be some members of the public that are interested in the application. I'd like to hear their questions or comments to make sure if there's other issues, maybe we should find out what they are tonight so that it doesn't require yet another adjournment if they come up later.
Good point.
Good point. So I'm at a point where I think that if Bill could walk out there and do this, we could settle this pretty quickly. Or Mr. Higgins,
Sure.
you don't have any other problems, right?
No, I don't have any other problems, no.
I think Bill does suggest the fence be somewhat other than solid, I guess, geometrically. So I think we need to see a cut of the proposed fence.
It's in the packet.
Yeah, but I think Bill is suggesting something different, aren't you, Bill?
Well, I'm saying that you can do different things to accommodate, like a tree or some plants with fencing. You can alternate, panels and offset them a little bit and make pockets for plants and do all kinds of things with fence. But the applicant wants a straight fence like most people, so you do those things if you need
I don't mean, maybe it was in Jim's report.
to accommodate a tree that wants to stay. Well, I'll walk it with him and we'll come up with something that,
All right, no, but Jim's report.
once we get some accurate
indicated
stuff on paper,
that
it makes.
All right, but I believe Jim's report indicated that it's sitting on a 1 foot retaining wall, so it becomes a 7 foot fence.
If it's moved back, Mark, if it's moved back 12 feet or 13 feet, then
it becomes
that goes away. Okay.
Okay,
As long
that's
as it's
number
not
one.
within 10 feet of that
That's good.
wall,
Number
that
two,
goes
did you
away.
want, I thought you wanted the top of the fence somewhat other than flat square.
No, I didn't. I asked for it to be beveled, which is just basically each board would have a little curve on the top.
That's what I'm talking about. So
Yeah.
could the applicant just give the board a cut of the proposed fence as part of the package that we'll review next month, so we know which fence we're approving and exactly what location?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I can provide that. I had sent it in last week, but I'll provide it in the revised submittal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know which fence. But again, then the variance is diminished by moving it because we're not on top of the 1 foot retaining wall, and it's 10 feet. It's 10 feet from the retaining wall, so it doesn't count.
Yeah.
Understood.
Okay. At least.
Okay, so I would think that we're going to carry this to September 17th. Mr. Fitzgerald will get with Mr. Beers and we'll settle this up.
Well, while Mr. Beers is here, what's your availability, Mr. Beers?
Working from home, so I'm available.
Okay, so maybe Monday morning?
That works, absolutely.
All right, so how about if I come by around 8:30?
Perfect.
There we go.
Okay, so we're going to carry this case until case number 4, 1129 Broward Boulevard, Ocean, to September 17th. That concludes our business unless anyone else has any
Okay,
questions.
yes. Mr. Chairman, the applicant is extending the time in which the board must act.
Yes.
Is that correct, sir?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and Amy will send you a form to sign to memorialize that, but it's on the record. The board has until the meeting of September 17th, which to act pursuant to the municipal land use law if that time has or is or about to expire. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our business tonight unless anyone else has any questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.